So today it's Chewy here from Anglia. I'm just talking to Pete. Pete, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm Pete Devlin. I'm the Assistant Director for Mental Health and Learning Disabilities and Autism at Suffolk County Council. And I work with social workers, I work with care providers, and of course, work with people who use our services and their families.
Oh, thanks, Pete. Cheers. So a lot of them, obviously, we're a part of the Suffolk Ordinary Lives website and the Suffolk Learning Disability Partnership. And obviously, we have people at our weekly self-advocacy meetings who want to ask questions. So yesterday we had a self-advocacy meeting. Yeah, it was Tuesday yesterday. That's right, bank holiday. So yesterday we had a self-advocacy meeting and we went round the room as such and we came up with some questions of things that people wanted to ask. So I'm going to give you Mark's question. Mark had a question which was, I haven't had support since the beginning of lockdown. When is it likely that I'm able to have support from Sense and Change again?
Okay, yeah. So since the beginning of lockdown, of course, we've been trying in adult care services to abide by the government's guidance that they've given us on things like social distancing, and only undertaking things that are really, really essential. So that has meant for some services we've reduced things down or we're doing things differently. It may be that for many people that self-advocates and people that use your services, Chewy, that are members of ACE, that they may be getting telephone calls to check on their welfare rather than visits that they might have had in the past. And part of the welfare calls should be to make sure that people that they're having the essential things in their life met, so that they're able to get shopping and food, that they've got access and deliveries for medical, medication and any medical services that they might need, and that where they've got needs that relate to things like their personal care, their ability to cook, their ability to keep themselves safe, it's in those circumstances that they would have some kind of care provided to them that might be face-to-face. But generally for lots of people, services that have been around supporting people to get out and about in the community, and that have been to visit them to provide some kind of companionship and to support them in that way, we've tended to do that through telephone contacts and welfare contacts in a virtual way rather than doing the face-to-face stuff, because to reduce the risk of spreading infection.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Cheers. Right. Okay. So we have a question from Joel now, and he was he's autistic and he was worried about around sort of his mental health and other people's mental health. So he says, how can information relevant to people's mental health needs get to the right people and not stop at support staff who don't always give the information that we need? So we find that, we know that there's information ourselves because we put it out there, but sometimes getting it to the people is really hard. How can we make sure we get that to people?
I think, I think for me too, it's getting the right information in a form that people understand to the right people as well. And it feels at the moment that there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes having too much information can cause us all confusion, particularly if the information is different and it's given different messages. So I think the Ordinary Lives website is where we really want to have the right information for people so that it's helpful. And certainly my commitment will be to share with ACE information that we come across in relation to services that are available in Suffolk and what support and assistance they might be able to give to people, so that we get good information on the Ordinary Lives website. The other area that we have stood up during COVID is the information hub that's run by Suffolk County Council Public Health. And I'm sure, I know this, that on your website, I think there's a link to that as well. And I would encourage people, that's another good place to look for information. So yes, totally understand where Joel's coming from. We don't really want information to be filtered to people, so we want it to get to them as quickly as possible, and we want the information to be in places that people would usually go. So websites that are familiar with them. So certainly what I can do is take away a commitment, Chewy, to make sure that when I receive information or my team receive information, that we make sure that we send it across to you at ACE so that it can be put on the Ordinary Lives website.
Okay, thank you. Right, what we got next? So Andrew, yes, Andrew comes to a lot of our self-advocacy meetings in normal life. What, this is normal life, I think? I can't remember, lost track. But Andrew's question is, do you have any idea when people will be able to return to their workplaces? So he goes to ground places and another person goes to the centre. They keep hearing about, Andrew said, I keep hearing about places opening on the 15th of June on the news. This is very confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the answer to the question is that we don't have any dates at the moment for the work placements and day services for them to be phased back in or to be resumed, to start again. But what we are doing at the here at Adult Care Services is we are having conversations with those provider organisations about what their plans are, how they might be able to start some of those services up again, and what they would need to have in place to make sure that that can be done safely and in line with what the government are saying around things like social distancing and the number of people that can be in any one area. We've also got, of course, some of the work placements and day services. Some of them are much more building based and some of them are outdoors. So it does mean that how we plan to restart some of them needs to take into consideration things like the buildings and whether they're outdoors. But we do need to do that safely, and the providers are beginning to start to think about that.
Yeah.
And come up with ideas. And our teams are also working now to speak with families and people who use our services to find out how they're managing now and what they would like to happen in the future. Because I know that lots of people are also doing different things now. So some of the services that they had previously, they might not want to go back to. They might want a different range of services. So we're trying to work with that. We're trying to work with our service providers. And we also know that for some individuals, it's been a very hard and difficult period for them during COVID.
Yeah.
And you know that's placed strain on customers and also sometimes their families and supporters. So we're also trying to get a sense of how urgent it is for people to have some of those services back in place as well. But we don't have a fixed date at the moment of when services will start. But
and I think with stuff like this, we've noticed, you know, a lot of people who maybe we weren't able to connect with normally have now become part of this. So maybe that's an option when things do go back to whatever normality is, that people have more of an option to maybe do stuff like this, you know, instead of, you know, maybe, I don't know, it's a different way of, there's a service working, but maybe they talk to people this way, and because it's people are getting used to it. So yeah, and I also think that from what you were saying there is that clear communications about what is happening from now would be a really positive thing for people, so we're all hearing the same thing, you know. So because that's what we're getting back is confusion, but then we're all confused because when we watch maybe a government briefing, that's quite confusing for some people too, you know.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of unknowns that we're working with, I think. So we're still finding our way with this. So, and I'm certainly I'm desperate for clarity and clear guidance, but there are so many unknowns at the moment that it does make it very, very difficult. The important thing, I think, is that that what we know is that for some people, they will want to go back to some of the services that they had that have been stopped or suspended in this period, and we need to plan for that. we know that it's going to likely need for a gradual restart rather than all services coming back online because of the social distancing and infection control measures that need to be in place. And we know that that some people will want things differently. And as you say, some people have found ways to use digital technology in a way, and that seems to be working for them. So we need to also build on the opportunities that come with this as well, for people, and to have a bit of a rethink really of what is it that people need and how can we ensure that we plan around that to try where at all possible and meet the interests and the kind of the new things that they would like.
Yeah, definitely. Right. We have a final question from Steve. He says, Stephen would like to know how people in Suffolk, how people are being prioritised in Suffolk. How Suffolk is prioritising people that they support at the moment. He feels that because of his autism, he's not being seen at the moment, and this is causing him a lot of anxiety. So that was his thing.
Yeah, I think it's very, very difficult for people at the moment because their for lots of the people that we support, their normal routines, the normal services that they would go to on a day-to-day basis, the normal support that they might receive from people coming to see them has been suspended or it's been reduced. And the reason for that, of course, is that the government has, to try and reduce the spread of the COVID infection, it's, given us advice clearly that we shouldn't be seeing people face to face, where we can try and support them in another way. So that has meant that for lots of our services, we have been contacting people by doing a lot more work on the phone, doing welfare visits by phone, keeping in touch with people in that way, perhaps doing some things by, the likes of web-based stuff. So, using Teams, using Zoom, using webinars to try and communicate with people. But we also realise that for lots of people, though, that face-to-face and that kind of physical contact and seeing people, being around people has been very, very difficult for them. Our social work teams are, again, doing most of their work through telephone contacts with people. And normally with individuals and their families deciding on the frequency of staying in touch with people and how they do that and agreeing the plans. But I totally understand, Chewy, that for some individuals, that lack of the normal routine services as they were prior to COVID or before COVID, and the lack of them and the length of time that we've been in this place, it's really, really difficult and challenging for people. So I suppose, my view or my advice would be that if you already have an allocated worker in the county council and you feel that you need more care and support than you're currently getting, then please get in touch with the team and with the worker. If you're concerned about your health, then, or there's been changes in your health, please get in contact with any health professionals that are involved in your care or your GP. If you're not known to adult care services and you feel that you've got care and support needs that are not being met at the moment, then please contact Customer First. And I'm sure, Chewy, you and your team at ACE would be able to help, any of your members. To make sure that we point them in the right direction to get any help that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course we would. That's what we do. So that's that. Thanks, Pete. That's great. Thanks for your time. And we'll post this up on on our website and on the Ordinary Lives website when it's done. Hopefully next week. And that'd be great. Thank you.
And I mean, just to say thanks. I just want to say a quick thank you to you guys at ACE. And, attended the People First meeting the other week there. I thought it was absolutely great. I think you're doing a great job of supporting people to keep in touch. You know, and you know, I'm more than happy if there are any questions to come back on and to do another little clip with yourself, Chewy, or anybody else. Or if there are specific questions from people, then, you know, please get in touch with us and we'll try our best to answer them.